Now let's focus on our vocal delivery. First of all, our tone of voice. That can make or break a message. Again, it needs to match what we are saying and consider what our purpose is. Volume. We want to speak loud enough so the person in the back row can hear us without having to strain. Avoid mumbling or speaking so softly that no one can hear you. You may need to practice breathing properly to project your voice if you have a problem with this. In some cases, depending on the size of the room and how many are in the audience, you may need to use a microphone. If so, make sure you practice with it so you are comfortable and so you know how it works. Pitch. If you have concerns about your voice being too high-pitched, you could record yourself on the phone or practice a presentation and play it back. That's not something you really need to focus on or worry about. Very, very few people have a high-pitched voice that is problematic, and if so, they would probably need voice coaching if they wanted to correct it. It's better to focus on our content and connecting with the audience than to worry about things we have little control over and don't matter in the big picture. What about our rate? Another thing we want to watch is our speed. We want to speak at a normal rate. Try to avoid having too many pauses. Usually, though, more people have a tendency to speed up rather than speak too slowly, especially if they're nervous. Their thought is to get through it as quickly as possible so it will be over with and they can sit down. Try to be aware of how fast you are speaking, and if you are talking too fast, consciously take a couple of breaths and slow down. If you get going too fast, you will start tripping over yourself and make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes people get going too fast just because they're excited about it. They get going on a roll, and it's like a snowball gathering momentum and speed as it rolls down a hill. When you speed up during a presentation, it says to your listeners, "I'm nervous and want to finish this as quickly as possible so I can sit down." Get as comfortable with your presentation as you can, so you can enjoy it rather than rush through it. Consciously catch yourself if you start speeding up. Remember to take a breath and slow down. Inflection. The main thing about inflection is we just don't want to sound flat and monotone. Put some excitement into it. Let your natural enthusiasm shine through. If you do, the inflection will take care of itself. We really need to work on these skills from the inside out, not as some external technique we're imposing on ourselves. That's when we focus on the wrong thing. Our main focus should be on the content of our topic, our message, and connecting with the audience. Articulation and pronunciation. If we don't know how to pronounce something, it's a good idea to ask someone who does know. When I was a TV news anchor, there was one area nearby that had several small towns with complicated names. I always made sure I knew how to pronounce them before I went on the air. If there is any doubt, ask. You don't want to alienate people. Also make sure you clearly articulate so people can understand you, especially if there are people there from different cultures and there are accents involved. Also, sometimes when we talk too fast, we get sloppy and end up saying something like doesn't it, instead of doesn't it. We all know that it's not just what you say, but how you say it. That doesn't mean your words are not important. In fact, when it comes to a presentation, your words are part of what lets the audience know they aren't wasting their time because you have real substance to offer. This next point is so important, I can't emphasize it enough. Do not memorize your presentation or read it. You will destroy any chance of connecting with the audience. Know your material well enough that you can conversationally speak about it. It is okay to glance at your slides or your note cards to remind you of the next point, but do not read them. I can't emphasize that enough. Memorizing your presentation word for word is also a bad idea. If you forget one sentence, your mind may go blank. Not to mention you will probably appear robotic. When you are focused on trying to remember what comes next, you are not connecting with people. Enthusiasm is contagious. Another key to being comfortable and being heard is by choosing topics that you are knowledgeable and passionate about. It is much easier to talk about something you are extremely familiar with and can be genuinely enthusiastic about. And if you're delivering a sales or persuasive presentation, you must be excited if you want to persuade your audience. If you are enthusiastic, they will be too. Remember, be yourself, be natural, use natural gestures, slow down, and connect through making eye contact. Now that we've discussed vocal delivery, including tone, volume, pitch, rate, inflection, articulation, pronunciation, memorization, and enthusiasm, we'll talk about using visual aids.